Tonight, it's a very, very special night. It's so special, yeah? It's the eve of our great teacher's enlightenment, yeah? Can you feel the enlightenment of the teacher? Many thousands of years ago, the great Bodhisattva sat under the tree, just like now we are sitting down. So can you feel the connection back to that time when the great Bodhisattva sat? So let us bring ourselves back to that kind of feeling where we are sitting together in that journey. Yeah? And not only is this night a special night, a serene night, I feel serene within us. Feel that peace. Feel that peace within you and that calm within you. And we, in that calmness and that peace, we fill our hearts. Let our hearts fill with a lot of gratitude and devotion to our this unique great being. So if you can feel in your heart now, the devotion that we have worked so hard over the past few weeks. All of us have been working so hard, attending and doing a lot of things to commemorate this great event that has happened in the life of our great teacher. So let us also fill this heart now with a lot of serenity, calm and peace. We fill with devotion and with a lot of gratitude for this very unique and very special being. After 6 years, the great Bodhisattva sat under the tree in Uruvela near the Naranjara river and made an aspiration, he made an adhithana, a determination that he was not going to get up from that seat until he had found the answer to the meaning of life. Because he was looking, just like us, we're all looking for meaning, we're looking for purpose in life. And the great Bodhisattva also wanted to know what was this life about. And he did not have any teacher for his enlightenment. He had a lot of lay teachers. He had good teachers who guided him in many of the meditation techniques to attain many high states. But he did not have a teacher for his enlightenment. So his enlightenment, the great Bodhisattva's enlightenment, was through his own efforts. His own effort realized because he had already prepared in a very vast amount of time that through his intuitive wisdom and his past preparation, the Bodhisattva realized the truth for himself through his own efforts, and he realized things that he had never realized before. Now, how does a journey of this kind, a great being arising, very rare in the world? There are so many of us, but there's only one of this Buddha arising in the world. So how does this being arise? How does this great Buddha arise? This journey of a great Buddha arises when there is a being, an aspirant. We call them an aspirant. It can be any one of us, I don't know whether any of you make aspiration to be a future Buddha. You will not tell me, I know. You won't tell anybody. It will be quietly in your mind, just like this aspirant. Many aeons ago, long far in the past, made an aspiration, mental aspiration, that he one day want to attain to this state of Buddhahood. And so in the presence, at many, many lifetimes, in the presence of past Buddhas, he continued this journey and began to accumulate merits and also jhana attainment, meditative attainment, and also aspirations, making aspirations to attain this state, and also to believe in rebirth, because if there is no rebirth, there is no point making aspiration, right? So this aspirant must have these kind of qualities within them. And not only that, in order even to become from an aspirant, to get a prophecy from a future Buddha, they have to go through many, many rounds of training, so-called training in morality, training in their perfections, training in also their jhanic attainments. So this being, after having made a mental aspiration, then in one lifetime, this aspirant was born to a family. He was born to a very rich family. And both his parents, he was only child of that family, and both the parents died. And after the parents died, he had so much of money, he had so much of wealth. And he was not interested in maintaining that wealth or looking after that wealth and spending time. So he decided, I want to give away all what I have. And for days and months, all his property was given away. And he had so much until he couldn't give away. He said, okay, anybody wants, you can go and take. So maybe we in the past also could have been there and partaken of that, that dana. And so this aspirant then went into the forest and became a hermit, and his name was Sumida the hermit. And in that lifetime, this hermit then got the prophecy from the Buddha Dipankara that he will one day in the far future that we are now in. This is the aeon that he is in now, that we are in that dispensation of the Buddha Gautama, that he will one day in the far future will become a Buddha by the name of Buddha Gautama, which is our teacher right now. And why does this aspirant arise in the world? Why is there a great bodhisattva arise in the world? Why does a Buddha arise in the world? Because they have a lot of compassion. An aspirant must see the suffering of other beings, because in this circle of life, they see that they have no refuge. Beings have no refuge, especially now that we know the Dhamma, we can know how good our life is, right? We can know, we can be happy even though we don't have much. But if those who don't have the Dhamma, there's a lot of suffering in their lives, and so they're afflicted with many kinds of living associated. The moment you're born, we go into sickness, old age, imprisonment. Now we have war, concentration camps. What else do we have? Living, earning a living, having a family life. We have a lot of things that we have to. So the great Buddha or the Bodhisattva or the aspirant have great compassion for all these beings. And they have to prepare themselves. This being, after even becoming a great Bodhisattva, they have to prepare for 4 asankayas and 100,000 aeon. And one aeon, one kappa they call it, is, there is a huge container which is about 12 feet high, 12 feet long, and 12 feet wide. And in that container, every 100 years, one person go and takes a mustard seed. Have you all seen mustard seeds? Very tiny seed that you use for cooking. You take one seed and throw every 100 years. And when it is full, that's only one aeon. No? And this being has to practice for 4 asankayas and 100,000 aeons. So it is an analogy that the Buddha has given, how long it takes for one being to become a Buddha. It is not that easy. And not say, okay, I want to be a Buddha, and then next day you sit there and you become enlightened. Even after learning also, we all take, after so many years also, we are still struggling to understand the Buddha's teachings. So they practice without interruption. With very profound reverence, devotion, very serious in their practice. They undertake this journey of being a bodhisattva. And then once they have, attain to the perfections, and also they have to perfect themselves, 10 perfections, not just give away your property, easy to give away property, but you have to give up your limbs and even your life in the process of this perfection of the becoming a Buddha. So even the Buddha said, this being is so unique. The Buddha said, this being is so extraordinary man in the world. He arises in the world for the benefit of many, for the happiness of many, out of compassion for the world, for the good, benefit, and happiness of gods and men. And who is that unique being? It is the Tathagata, the exalted and fully enlightened one. So this being is so unique. Even the Buddha himself described the Tathagata. He described a blessed one. It's so unique and it is so long. And we cannot understand because our mind is so limited, that amount of time, that amount of effort that a being, a great bodhisattva puts into effort in order to become a fully enlightened Buddha. And today we sit here because we have opportunity to hear the Dhamma. And also the Buddha said, Kicho manusa patilabo, kichang machana jivitang, kichang sadhamma savanang, kicho bhutanang upado. The Buddha said, it's so rare. Even to be born as a human being, it's very, very, very rare. So we always take for granted that it's very, there are 8 billion people on this planet Earth. So we thought it's very easy to be born a human being. But the Buddha said it is not so, to be born a human. Not only that, he said a life of a mortal is very, very hard. More rare than that is the hearing of the sublime Dhamma. And even more rare is the arising of a enlightened Buddha. So knowing that it is so rare to get existence, there are many places or existence where it is not easy actually, even though the Buddha Dhamma is available to us, it is not easy to hear the Dhamma or listen to the Dhamma or practice the Dhamma, to have a community to practice with us. So there are these 8 unfortunate existences that we cannot hear the Dhamma at all. So the first is if a being is born in hell realms, the Niraya realms, because there it is continuously suffering, torture for them. So there's no way they can listen, hear, or practice the Dhamma. Another existence that is very unfortunate is that of the animal realm. Animals, they live in fear. You know, animals, they eat each other, right? The frog will eat the fly, the snake will eat the frog, and so on and so forth. So in this chain, they're actually eating each other up. And they live in a lot of fear in the animal realm. And they don't have the mental capacity to listen to the Dhamma. Although the Buddha Dhamma is present in the world today, they also cannot hear in the animal realm. Although they live sometimes, animals live very happy life, right? Got aircon, got special food, got nice clothes to wear some more, boots to go walking, but they still cannot hear the Dhamma. So it's a very unfortunate existence. And those who are also in the Peta realms, the spirit realm, there they are even worse. They're constantly hunger and they're thirsty. No way to listen to the Dhamma. You feel very fortunate already? And those in the Brahma realm also, because there is only the mind there, they don't have any hearing capacity. So they do not also have access and practicing the Dhamma. And then those who are born in very remote regions, even in this world today that we exist, there are places where there is no fourfold Sangha, and they don't have opportunity to listen to the Dhamma. Very, very far, remote, deep in the jungle, there is no. They are still in the Buddha Sasana is still going on, but they don't have access to it. Feeling lucky? And those who hold wrong views, we don't believe, don't have faith in the law of karma or rebirth. There's no such thing as rebirth. People say, this life is one and only. Die already, finish. I either go to heaven or hell, or don't know where. So a lot of people hold these views. They also will not have opportunity to learn and practice the Dhamma. And those who are born with deficient, bodies, faculties. That means those who are born blind, or they are sometimes they don't have faculty of hearing. They may not be able to hear the Dhamma. So again, this is a very unfortunate existence. And there are also those who are born when there's no sasana available. No more. The teachings is gone already. There's no more available. So these are the 8 unfortunate realms. But there is one existence, But there is one very fortunate, and which is that? Nalanda Buddhist Society. Everybody is sitting here, right? So what is very common here that you find that now that this 9th very fortunate is because we are born in a time when the Dhamma exists. Wonderful, right? The Buddha Sasana is still going on. And then It is difficult to come by because even in this world right now, many people don't want to learn the Dhamma. Even they hear, they say, I got very busy already. I better go and do my work. Yeah? And then it's flourishing in the world. There's a lot of teaching going on. There are a lot of good meditation teachers. There are our Sangha members. So many things, but they still do not have the opportunity. And we are all born with our faculties very intact. All of us can hear, can see, can practice, can sit, can meditate, right? We can do all these things. And we all hold right view. We know that once we... Have you ever wondered where you came from? Never. Never think about where you came from. How, where, or where you're going to. So, if we hold the view, the right view, that there is going to be rebirth after this lifetime, in this lifetime after we die, there will be rebirth, and it is depending on our law of karma. So this is a very fortunate existence that we are now experiencing. All of us are sitting here and experiencing this existence. Now, this is now the 2566, not at 67, right? Tomorrow only, right? Past midnight. Yeah? So already many years, thousands of years have passed. Now, how is it that the Buddha's teachings is still available until today? The Buddha is not around. The Buddha has already attained Mahaparinibbana. But how is the Dhamma still flourishing? How come? So, again, the Buddha, in the last discourse in the Digha Nikaya 16, before the Buddha passed away, the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, there was a passage where the Buddha actually had a conversation with Venerable Ananda. And there the Buddha said this. I will read so we all can understand together. The Buddha said, I shall not come to pass to my final passing away. Evil one. That time the Mara was disturbing him. Previously this Mara was disturbing, asked him to pass away faster, you go. But the Buddha said, no, I will not pass away until my bhikkhu and bhikkhunis, our monastics, laymen and laywomen, people like you and me, we are laymen and laywomen, have come to be true disciples, wise, well-disciplined, apt and learned, preservers of the Dhamma, live according to the Dhamma, abiding by appropriate conduct, and having learned the Master's word, are able to expound, preach, proclaim, establish, and reveal it in detail and make it clear until when adverse opinions arise, they shall be able to refute them thoroughly and well and preach the convincing and liberating Dhamma. So you can see when the Buddha was about to pass away, again he told Venerable Ananda this again. He said, now all the lay monastics, monks and nuns, laymen and laywomen are already established. So it is time for me to go. I will leave now. But this was said many years before that. So the Buddha actually said already well established, and that's why today, until today, we have the Dhamma flourishing and the Sasana is still available to us. Now, friends, Nalanda is celebrating its what anniversary this year? 20th anniversary. When did we celebrate our anniversary? 1st of May, that's about 2 days ago, we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And Nalanda has been for the past 20 years, from the time that Nalanda has been in existence from 2003 until today. Its mission has been Dhamma propagation, propagating the Dhamma so that those who come and learn and practice, they become transformed, they change. How do they change? They change by being better people, being more useful, being more patient, listen more, letting go, and having less anger, and also they also enjoy many well-beings, like for example, domestic bliss, having better relationships with their families, having good work ethics, having interpersonal well-being, knowing how to deal with one another. So Nalanda has been doing this. So from the time Nalanda has been in existence for 20 years, this is what Nalanda has been doing. That is listening and paying obedience to what the Buddha has given us, this message that those laymen and laywomen also can establish the Dhamma, can preach the Dhamma, and also help others to realize the Dhamma. So this year, our theme has been, what is our 20th anniversary theme? Making lives more meaningful. So what does it mean, make our lives more meaningful? So through Dhamma education, through propagation, practitioners are inspired. What do? We are all self-reliant now. We ourselves also practice the Dhamma well, and then we take responsibility for our own life, for our own actions. And also not only that, we are also very compassionate in that we also know we have to help others. So by today, I know many of the volunteers, staff have been working so hard to prepare for this session and also for tomorrow's coming session. So that will enrich our happiness. So making our life more meaningful by learning and practicing the Dhamma. So, friends, along with these qualities, we live in a world that everywhere it is changing. Every day things are changing around us. So I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? You want to answer my question? So I ask you, how is life? How is life, brother? Life is good. Okay, anybody? Sulun, how is life? Good also. We're all good fellas, huh? Any more? Anybody? Some will say, okay lah, right? Some will say, what? Could be better, right? Right? But don't want to say lah, paise, I want to say, now teaching Dhamma, say. What else, Amo? Brother Alex, how is life? So sometimes we say we are very stressful life. Life can be very stressful. That means you're living in heaven already. And then some people say it's bearable. You know, life is okay lah, like that, only up and down. Some people say, I want to die already. My life is so suffering, I feel like dying, right? Yeah, at one time that's how we felt. But after learning Dhamma, we know that we can bear up to it. So life is like that, is it? So it can be very hard to describe. When I ask you what is life, very hard to, it depends, if now at this moment our life can be very good, right? Then you will say, yeah, okay lah, very good, bearable, boleh lah, we can say. But let's say if your life now at this moment is not so good, let's say you're facing some difficulties, what will you say? You will say something different, right? You say, I'm feeling stressful, or I wish I could have a better life, correct? So it all depends on how or what your situation is. So, although our life at this moment is very good, tomorrow it can change. So our life can be changing all the time. Now I'll ask you another question. What do you want in life? Aili, what do you want in life? Happy. Okay. Doris? Yeah? Peaceful. So you will get this. Everybody in life want to be happy, right? Who doesn't want to be happy here? Tell me. You must go to Tanjung Rambutan if you don't say, I don't want happiness. So we'll all always look for happiness. We want to have a peaceful life. We want to have a purposeful life. Correct? Everybody wants to have a good life. It's very important. And in pursuing this good life, you know what happens? We all pursue very good life. We want to pursue the life. But in that pursuit, what happens is we all get all stressed out. Lives get very difficult because we want to, it is very stressful. So about 2 weeks ago, there was this, I had some friends, we had a dinner, So they had a daughter, she was about, I think, 7 years old. And then they had just gone shopping and, it's school holiday, right? So they went Kidzania and KLCC and all those kind of things. So come back already. So we're having dinner. Then this child, suddenly, you know what she said? My life was so difficult. She's 7 years old. I'm like, what? Did I hear correctly? Is my years? I asked, I said, repeat again, repeat, please repeat. She's repeated the same thing. No, my life's so difficult. So I looked at the mother because I asked her, what is so difficult about your life? Then she just looked at me. She didn't want to tell me. Then I asked the mother, actually, why she say her life so difficult? Can you guess? After a good dinner, a day out, life is so good, right? But she was having the phone in the hand. So can you guess why? No, she couldn't break the code. You don't want to unlock the phone, right? So she couldn't unlock the phone so she could play her computer game. So life is very difficult for her. 7-year-old, life is already very difficult. What more people like us? So friends, in life, yes, in order to have a good life, we all have to work very hard for our lives. We have to put effort. We have to contend with a lot of disagreements, difficult people, disturbing situations. So how do we define what is happy, what is meaningful, what is purposeful? How do we define it? Yeah. So we are all born into the world. We have worldly life. We all start with worldly life, right? And then what happens is, that is the only thing we know. That means we are universally everywhere, all over the world. Human beings are all looking for happiness. I don't think there's anyone, even you ask an animal, I'm sure he will say he sure wants happiness. Everybody, universally, everybody wants happiness. They want satisfaction. And it gives a lot of meaning, pleasure, and joy in their lives. How do we do it? We have an education, we acquire wealth, we live in good circumstances. What else? We go for holidays. Happy life some more? Have property. What else do we do? Drive big cars. Some more? Good friends, good family. All this is good, right? And the Buddha said this is all very good. The Buddha encouraged. He said we must have this economic well-being. Otherwise, all our life will be struggling and we won't have any time to practice the Dhamma. So the Buddha encouraged that everyone, because he said not everybody can be like Bante like that, dedicate their life to learning the Dhamma. Not everyone. You see, 2 there, so many here, Bante. So the Buddha knew, and the Buddha gave many teachings for lay people, so that we can also have a good life. Not just for monks, but the Buddha also gave a good life. And the Buddha encouraged us to have wealth, economic success, and family welfare as a requisite for human happiness. We need to have all this for human happiness, yeah? But the Buddha also gave these 4 types of happiness. In one of the teachings, the Buddha gave this happiness. The first is, besides ownership, if we own worldly things, property, cars, whatever you own, these, when you acquire it by energetic and righteous means, the Buddha said this gives a lot of happiness, and you're entitled to this happiness, and you should pursue this happiness because it is important for us. And then the Buddha said there's another type of happiness, which is the enjoyment. You own everything, but you never enjoy it. How? You're so stingy, don't want to enjoy. Right? So you have to enjoy it. So you go for holidays. The Buddha said it's okay to go for holidays and enjoy it. But the Buddha said you also must use your wealth to do good deeds. Help others. Not just keep the wealth for yourself, but you also help others. There's another kind of happiness, the Buddha said, that is debtlessness. Anyone here free from debt? We say we own property, we own car, we own a lot of things, but half of it belong to the bank. The other half belong to the hire purchase company. And then the credit card company owes all our property. Yeah. So the Buddha said, even to be debt-free, that is a kind of happiness. And last, but the Buddha said, this happiness overshadows every one of the rest. The Buddha said, when we have happiness from doing good, from being good, doing good deeds, this kind of happiness is blamelessness. This kind of happiness, the Buddha said, is recommended. So for a worldly, happy, worldly life, whether you are a layman or a laywoman, the Buddha said happiness in this way is very, very good for lay people. So we all start with a worldly, happy, worldly life. Are you all happy? Happy, right? To be here today, right? Yes, today is so we live a worldly, happy life. Now, from that worldly, happy life, when we have this Buddha's teachings available to us, when we have access to practice good friends, see Brother Wheeling come all the way from Indonesia to be with his good friends during Buddha Day. He got a lot of good friends here. So when we have not only a happy worldly life, but then we also have a life of well-being. We graduate on to having a life of well-being. Hitaya, the Buddha said. So, what is this life of well-being? The Buddha specifies this in the sense that we now lead a moral life, that is a life for a peaceful life we experience is our mind is filled with positivity, there is hope, we do not give up so easily, we are contented, the things that are cherished, we feel happy, we look after our family, we are protected. So during the recent COVID, 3 years ago, we were all, had COVID, right? So when there was COVID, what happened is, what did we all undergo? There were massive unemployment, right? People lost their jobs, right? Businesses were closed. Until today, those businesses also cannot survive. And then we have, what happened some more? Business shut down, people were separated from one another, cannot get food to eat. What else did we do? We all have to stay inside the house, right? But despite all that, what has happened now? We are very happy back again, right? So happy to have our freedom back again. Can you remember the time? Forgotten already. That time was like we were living in fear, in unhappiness, in a lot of, disturbed state of mind. But today, we are free already. So the Buddha said, when we have these kind of difficulties in our life, when we have a life of well-being, after practicing the Dhamma, when we are able to overcome, we are filled with positive thoughts. But there are many people who never could not see the end. They said, this is the end. And then they took their own lives. They committed suicide. Many people just gave up. But there are many, you see, so many sitting here, all of us went through pandemic, right? Anybody here didn't go through the pandemic? Anybody here exempt, given exemption by the COVID? No, right? So what it shows is that when we practice the Dhamma, we learn, then what happens is we have a lot of courage. Yes, I always think to myself, this could probably be your last day, Sister Paru. You could die of COVID. Who knows? You never know, because at that time, you see the video full of people, the hospitals are overflowing, people are dying everywhere on the streets. So we get very scared. We could die the next day. But with this kind of positive mind, with untroubled by whatever that comes, we accept, little by little, we accept these things. And then we investigate what is happening within us. So a meaningful life is also walking towards a life of well-being. That is, we practice a more moral character. Yeah. Even when we are undergoing stress, that is the time when we can stay firm, stay happy, stay positive. That is a life of well-being. Rather than when difficulty come, then we like the burn out already. Next is when we are strong and positive, we live a life of moderation, we can live a life of well-being. Once we live a life of well-being, another way of living a meaningful life, besides having a happy worldly life, and besides a life of well-being, then we slowly learning and practicing the Dhamma, we then go on to a life of purpose. That is when we realize in this life, we are actually in this ocean of samsara. So we are working ourselves out of this samsaric circle. And then what do? We learn the Buddha's teachings and we devote ourselves. We give a lot of time to spiritual cultivation and we want to seek liberation. How do we seek liberation? By number one, first and foremost, we have our teacher. We take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha as our refuge. Then we uphold our precepts, not killing or harming other beings. We do not take things that don't belong to us because we care for other beings. We do not indulge in sexual misconduct. We do not have false speech, harsh speech, or frivolous speech, and we do not intoxicate ourselves. 2 days ago, there was an accident where somebody was under the influence of alcohol. Not only they killed themselves, but many people are also killed in that process. They take the lives of others just by wanting to indulge in just intoxicating themselves. So the Buddha said, this life of purpose, we go on to having a life of purposeful life where we being more spiritual. We become less greedy. We become less deluded. We become less aversion to all things. When difficult things come, we do not run away, but rather we face it and see actually what is happening here, yeah? And then by way of most important, after we have practice our moral characteristics and our spiritual characteristics, very important, a life of purpose is when we offer ourselves for service so that others also can learn the Dhamma. So how, just now I asked the question, how did the Dhamma arrive from so many centuries ago? How did it come here? It is because of the monks, the nuns, the layperson, layman and laywoman gave their services. They supported the Sangha and also practiced themselves. We have great meditation teachers. We have great teachers who give us teachings. Yeah. So how does this come about? A life of purpose is also give some part of our life to help others along the journey. Yeah. So this is a life of purpose. So what do? We take refuge in the three jewels. We uphold our precepts, and then we are very mindful of our thoughts, our speech, and the bodily action that we do. And after having done this, we have a worldly life. We have a happy worldly life. We have a life of well-being, a life of purpose. Finally, in this lifetime, if we can also have a noble life, a life where we liberate ourselves from dukkha. Anybody wants to go on and on? You have opportunity in this lifetime because our life, we are going round and round. So this life is just one moment in this samsaric existence, like a blip, one blip in the existence of our life. So if we can, it's so precious. This life is very precious. As we sit here and we can achieve a purposeful life, a life of well-being, and now become a noble life. And in this lifetime, many people actually during the Buddha's time attain liberation. People like Anathapindika, who was once a great supporter of the Buddha, Chitta, Hattaka, Magandia, Visakha, and maybe Nandini, Buddhini, who knows, one day also can attain to that stage, and all of us can attain to stage of a noble life. Would you all like that? Well, nobody wants. Why? Very got to practice. Yeah. So in this lifetime, friends, this is what we mean by making lives more meaningful. That means over and over the years, we have done many programs that will help others not only achieve a worldly life, but a life of well-being, a life of purpose, and finally a noble life, making our life more meaningful. Since the time I also started learning the Dhamma, my life has also been very, very meaningful. And similarly, I'm sure many of us have, because a great being arising in the world brought us the Dhamma, and with the help of many other living beings, we are also able to benefit from the teachings of the Buddha. So friends, The Buddha, in his very long journey, he left us this precious, very, very precious Dhamma to us. And he gave us this gift of the Dhamma. So realizing that we ourselves, all of us have this potential. After learning, after practicing, then we have the potential to not only help ourselves and live a meaningful life, but we also can make it a very purposeful, useful life for ourselves and also for others. So the Buddha's advice to us, the Buddha gave us this teaching. He said, let us, bring the teachings far out into the future. And then we ourselves, what do? We stay humble, we stay sincere, and we stay firm and grateful. We feel so grateful that we have this Dhamma to us. And what is the highest homage that we can pay to our teacher is by learning, by practicing, and by realizing the Dhamma. So with that, I would like to end the sharing, and I hope every one of you today, on this Buddha Day Eve, the day the Buddha is going to gain enlightenment, we sit together with this thought that in our life we are so grateful. And with this peace, and with this calmness, and with this happiness in our mind, let us remain faithful to not only cultivate for ourselves, but remember that we also have the duty to bring the Dhamma far and far and far into the future, so that many, many other beings also can benefit from this sublime Dhamma. Sukhi Hotu.